Hello, everyone. Look at this big crew of people. This is day 2 of Mondo's Comic-Con coverage and content, and this is the Mondo Live Artist Talk. And let me just take a minute to sort of introduce everybody. I'll go starting from top left. Of course, that's Eric Garza from Mondo. We got Daniel Danger. We have Rory Kurtz. We have myself, skip that. We have Sara Deck. We have Truck Torrance, a.k.a. 100% Soft. We have both Phantom City Creative, Paige and Justin. And we have Jack Hughes. Hello, everybody. How is everyone?
Great.
Good. We don't have a real agenda with this talk. To give some backstory, Rory came to us and said, I just kind of want to get a big group of friends together and talk about life as an artist right now, and we said we'd be happy to host. So we're going to just kind of flow through things and take questions at the end. But yeah, let's start off by just sort of talking about general state of being an artist right now. Rory, being the one that put this together, how have things changed since the COVID happened with sort of what it's like to be a freelance illustrator and a poster artist and everything else you are?
Oh, wow. That's a lot of questions in one. It's odd. It's a weird time right now. Everybody feels it, and obviously, like some of the work for the film studios slowed down considerably right away. Once all the productions were put on hold, that sort of shelved a lot of the film studio projects for a period of time. So, then you just sort of, focus on what work you can do. So for me, that was more, personal illustrated projects and posters for Mondo and whatnot. But productivity, even here in my studio, has dropped down. It's the mental headspace trying to create right now is a little awkward. And I've talked to some other artists who sort of have felt the same way, that it's hard to be creatively and productively operating at 100% at the moment. So I think if there's anybody else watching that works from home or works on art in their free time or whatnot, I don't think there's anything wrong with slowing down a little bit right now and just being okay with that, not beating yourself up too much over it.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting you bring that up, because theoretically during times like this you should have more time to be more productive at home, right? But I have also found that it's like the mental aspect seems to really slow you down, because there's just a lot of weight to carry, I feel like right now. And then there's more distractions at home and just a lot of things. So I agree with that. Is that kind of the general sense of the room, is that work slows down, or is there more time for work, or what do you guys, anyone can feel free to jump in on that?
I think for me, like everything got delayed that I was working on, but not killed. So that kind of put a damper on everything. And then also with the stress of the pandemic, and my husband's like one of those essential workers, so he hasn't stopped working, and just like the stress of like looking after him, and it's been a real treat to try to stay productive.
Yeah. And it should also be noted, we've got Sara in Phantom City in Canada and Jack in England and everyone else in America. So there's sort of different levels of severity, I feel like. I think everywhere is pretty locked down, but as far as like, again, the severity, I feel like Canada and UK are doing better than us. Jack, how is it over there? Is it a lot different day to day, or what's the current story over there?
I don't think we're handling it pretty well. I was talking to some US friends, and they're like, oh yeah, the UK have it totally under control, and we totally don't. But yeah, I mean, compared to like lots of other places in Europe, they're doing it a lot better than we are. But then again, yeah, I'll try not to get political. But in terms of my day-to-day routine, I mean, I work from home anyway, so not that much changed. Suddenly, like my flatmates were all working from home, which was fine. The flat felt a little bit smaller. Oh, my cat's there.
Doris.
And she's asleep. but now I'm like able to get out and like work in a co-working space, and like, yeah, it just feels 10 times better than it was before. It was really difficult trying to stay motivated to try and just do personal work during lockdown. It was really tough.
Yeah, I do think that's hard because now, granted, you said you work from home a lot and are an illustrator, but for most people, it's different self-starting a project at home versus having a deadline. And like
absolutely.
I've dealt with tons of artists even that have trouble doing movie posters because they're used to doing concert posters where if they don't get it done by a certain date, the poster doesn't happen. And so even a movie poster job has a little bit of a floating deadline. But yeah, that makes sense to me. Truck, you're kind of the seer of seers, prognosticator of prognosticators here. You made the dumpster fire, which is pretty accurate for what's going on right now. I saw you put a new one out with a mask on it. Have you? What's sort of what's the feedback been on the dumpster fire since all this started happening?
People. I mean, unfortunately for everybody, but fortunately for me, it's like the icon of 2020, kind of. But I don't know. I mean, you know, people. I think people like commiserating with a little bit of the misery that we're all suffering with here. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's how many colorways do you have out now?
I think only 3 or 4 have been officially released.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there it is up on screen just for everybody to see. If you don't have one, it's a very affordable vinyl toy. Commemorate your 2020. Get yourself one where fine toys are sold.
Just to jump in, I just saw that you did a collaboration with Jason Edmiston that looks bonkers.
I did, yeah. Jason at MondoCon last year, actually, Jason came up to me and was like, what if we painted, like, what if I painted one and made it like look really gross and grimy? And I said, sold, Edmiston, get on it. And so I sent him a new hand cast blank resin piece, and he just went to town on it. It looks really cool. You can see it on my Instagram if you want. But I'm
gonna pull it up here real quick.
Cool.
Let's see here. This might be a small JPEG, but
that's fine.
Oh, that's very small.
Yeah.
Wow.
There we go. We can clear it up a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's up for auction right now on eBay. But we had a good time doing it.
Oh, cool. So it's a one-off hand paint. That's cool.
Yep, for sure.
Justin and Paige, you both sort of work at home together. What's that been like during all this?
I think at the beginning it was really stressful. There were so many unknowns. We didn't know what was going on, but it's been sort of more of the same.
Time-wise, like the first couple of weeks, there was just this constant parade of canceled or delayed projects. A couple of big posters evaporated. A couple of film posters evaporated. The variety of work changed up a bit. Instead of doing a lot of key art, some logo stuff came in, some toy packaging. So like work came in, but it was different work, I found.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then, so your guys' dynamic as far as both working out of the house, probably not that different than usual though?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Like you mentioned earlier, like the hours spent at the desk is the same, but maybe the quality of work isn't as great because there's so much going on that you can't focus entirely.
It's easy to get distracted,
Yeah,
that makes sense to me. And then, Paige, you do some work in film, right, outside of illustration?
Yeah, I work on visual effects.
Slow down during it?
Sorry, you were cutting out.
And what's that? As that?
Sorry, you're cutting out. I couldn't hear the question.
How has it changed?
Okay, so it slowed down a little bit because a lot of productions right now are stalled or they couldn't finish filming. They've been delayed, pushed back. So there's been definitely a little bit of change there. But I'm lucky the projects that I was working on are still going strong. They were finished before we got the work. So yeah, it's been okay.
Cool. Daniel, I think you're sort of the only one here that relies heavily on concert posters. Concerts no longer exist, so what's that like?
I mean, there was like a three-day run in probably like, late February, early March, where like everything disappeared. Like everything for the next year of my life was just gone. And that was, concert posters, made up a significant chunk of my income, and they were just all gone. And then conventions were gone, and the art show that I had planned for May was gone. So I felt kind of fortunate, if only because in reality, like my art prints and personal work are sort of my bread and butter. So like when all the concert posters went away and everything vanished on that end, I was just left with time. So I was like, well, I can kind of, focus on personal work and, jump back to this thing that I'm glad that I nurtured and kept going over the years. But then daycare went away. So
yeah, I know. I'm sort of in that same position too. We've got 3 over here, so it's pretty crazy. It's hard to strike a balance between like helping enough and also having enough time to do other stuff, and that's sort of been my biggest challenge, is whether or not to try to work more off hours and things like that. But then I kind of feel like I'm not helping enough. But yeah, that's been my biggest adjustment, is just everybody being here at all times.
Yeah, I mean, my wife and I are both like small business owners, and so really what we're doing is like we're just trading off days. And my, in reality, my work week, this day and age is like 15 hours a week, maybe, really. Like, it's like, there's basically I have like 2 days where I can get like a 6 or 7 hour a day, and that's about it. And then at night, if I want to keep working, it's at the expense of sleep. And then I have to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning every day because I have a child who screams at me. So
yeah,
it's been really hard to like, for someone like me, especially, like I'm very much about momentum. Like someone mentioned, like the Crimson Peak poster that I did like a couple years ago. That was something that I did over 26 straight days. I came into the studio every day. I worked like 12 plus hours straight through. I just put headphones on. I put Friday Night Lights on TV. I just worked and worked and worked and worked. And that momentum has always been really, really the only thing that works for me. And now it's like, oh, I get to work 4 hours here, and then I have a day and a half where I have to be taking care of Dorothy, and then I get 3 more hours. Like the momentum is just fucking gone, So
yeah, shout out to Friday Night Lights, greatest show ever.
Agreed.
I'm rewatching it right now, season 2.
It's incredible. Let's talk about this quarantine print that you did. I'll pull it up on screen here. So you gathered, you sat in our shoes for a minute and gathered 28 artists and had to get them to deliver art in a timely manner. And why don't you tell us a little bit about how this came together and the thinking behind it and what it was like to do?
Well, in the initial like weeks of all this kind of chaos, when everyone was just like all of our conversations were sort of dominated by what work we lost, what of our plans changed, and how we kind of didn't really know what to do with ourselves because we hadn't quite gotten to the point of like pivoting yet. So, and everyone was just like freaked out, and I wanted to kind of like, I pitched this idea of, well, if I make this like apartment building and everyone kind of represents themselves being stuck indoors, and just have fun with it and don't be stressed about it and like just do it for the fun of doing it versus, the general stress of any sort of like client job. And I wanted to have like really no creative control over it, just to be like, I don't care what you do as long as you follow the perspective, really. And just give people the opportunity to like spend, 4 or 5 hours doing something just fun for themselves, just as a means of like, I don't know, keeping their hands busy at a time where everyone didn't really know what to do and was stuck indoors and feeling a little bit stir crazy.
And was this a thing where this is people you were talking to regularly, or did you reach out to anyone that you hadn't?
The first print, the left print, is almost entirely constructed of people who are in like our artist chat, which is just like our little Slack group. So I kind of like, you know, I called in a couple people, but generally that was everyone that was kind of in there. And that was the first one. And then it sort of expanded to 28 people. And then the second print, I kind of pulled some people that I, you know, maybe didn't know as well, or just, you know, maybe I was looking for people who did a different kind of style versus just like having just a bunch of Mondo artists. So like, you know, I got some character designers and, you know, who else? Rowan McCall, who was just on, someone who hit me up on Twitter just about an unrelated thing, and I clicked her portfolio link, and I was like, oh, your work is great. It'll fit this project. Hit her up. I have no idea who she is.
Yeah, I noticed your friend Aaron Powers is in there, so it's a good mix.
Yeah.
And this is available now, right, via timed edition?
Yeah, it's in my web store. There's like 3 different variants of it. Yeah, it's just kind of a fun print to represent all of us kind of losing our mind a little bit. So it's purposely weird.
How long's the time sale run for, Daniel?
To the end of the month.
Here's sort of the infographic on screen of everyone involved. It's quite the lineup. And, you know, I think the interesting thing to me about this and the marketing angle of this is a print you can get right now and sort of will never be done again, right? Like this commemorates this time, which is the strangest time. And it's a nice reminder of that. So anyone wants to do any supporting, go ahead and grab one of those prints from Daniel's store. This is something we stand behind 100% over here. We love this.
We are just kind of like, you know, just kind of splitting the, you know, any profits from this, just because like especially in the early days, like, you know, there's a handful of people in this print who just like, they're people who only really do gig posters, and they were just like out of work. You know, they've got, you know, so it's kind of like, well, just you're supporting a bunch of different artists at once, given literally probably everyone on this print lost work because of the situation, you know.
Oh, sorry, I pushed the wrong button. I'm gonna ask just a general question. Whoever wants to answer here, we're gonna try not to do too many of these. There's so many people that'll try and talk at once. But anyone that wants to jump in, I know that a lot of you do varying degrees of conventions, and obviously those are sort of done for the year. How has it sort of changed the way you connect with your fans and release work and things like that? If you are somebody that does a decent amount of conventions.
I mean, I don't do any, so I'm just going to mute myself again.
Yeah, we do.
We don't really,
Take it away.
Yeah.
I sort of like had made the point that in this year that I was like, I felt like I was being a little too hermity, and I was like, well, I'm going to kind of get back into doing conventions because, you know, I just started my whole career doing flat stocks and such, and then I just kind of stopped. And so I made a point, was like, all right, I'm basically going to do every convention that I can and try some things out and like really push to get on Comic-Con and, you know, keep building that up, because I was kind of finding that I was really just selling to the same people over and over again online. And my audience building has always come from doing conventions and people seeing my work in person. And so I had this whole plan of all these conventions and shows, and then beep, so I'm just back to being a hermit again. I tried. I don't know.
I was trying to get a booth at San Diego Comic-Con, which is not an easy feat. You know,
no, it's not.
Yeah, the waiting list for it. So I was trying to, and I was working my way up the ladder over there and getting to the right person and so on. But then, yeah, everything fell through. So yeah, it took all the wind out of my sails. But hopefully, you know, next year, you know.
But Rory, you've done a lot of trying to build your fans of Rory Kurtz Facebook group, right? I noticed that you interact with that a lot. Is that something you've been pushing more toward?
Yeah, I mean, I've always sort of, because I've always been hermited, and I hadn't done any conventions. Most of my career was editorial and advertising, so I never interfaced with the public at all. But then once I started doing prints and whatnot, that became necessary, and I just thought that building like a collector page that was really active, where you could regularly interact and offer things exclusively, to that group would sort of help make up for the lack of convention exposure I was getting at the time. Because when I was first starting out, I didn't even have enough to make conventions worthwhile. I didn't have enough inventory, But now, flash forward, a couple of years, and now the collector page is, thousands of people, long, and is a real positive, avenue for me to sell to directly. And sometimes it's made working through galleries somewhat superfluous, because you've got, quite a large base of people that are in regular communication with you already.
Yeah, I think that is one of the challenges of galleries right now. We're sort of lucky in that usually when we do something in a gallery, we're bringing a license to the table, or something that someone couldn't otherwise get. But if you're a general gallery doing general art right now, it is difficult, right? Because most artists do have pretty good access to their fans, and if you're taking 50%, you want to be bringing something to the table. I think that has been a challenge. Have you sort of leaned into your 5x7 series more during this?
Only because like it keeps me kind of sane. Like, it started out as me just every Friday, just stopping whatever I was doing and just working on a drawing, because it was just good for my headspace and a good way to relax at the end of the week. And then that just sort of turned into its own little sort of eyes without a face thing. And so now it's just something I do almost reflexively. So I'll find myself like, making dinner and thinking, I should do an Amelie 5x7. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'll come up with an idea for it. And so I don't know. Yeah, it just kind of, is just part of my daily thinking now. So yeah, I want to try a couple of every month, or on the sides of these larger projects.
Rory, I don't know if you can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get a lot of like, I kind of feel this way about the clay boards that I do, that because we work on pieces that take so long to do, that we're staring at them for so long, that it's nice to sit down and do something that we're going to stare at for a few hours. Yeah. That's it. And it's like, it's a nice, like, it's a little bit of a breather, even though you're still working. You're just like, but I'm not looking at, whatever for 4 months.
Like you were saying about Crimson Peak, like a poster I just finished for Mondo that we can't name. It took about 6 weeks.
Yeah,
really intensive staring at the screen, and it was nice to break away from that and do something that was playful and gratification.
After a certain point, you staring at the same image, it just stops looking like anything. It just looks like gibberish to you. Yeah,
you're snowblind. You can't even tell what you're looking at anymore.
No, yeah.
You have to regularly step away. Do you guys feel that at all too? I mean, I know some of you work a lot quicker than others. I know, Sarah, you work really quickly. You've talked about that in the past.
What was the question?
Do you find that for those pieces that, are really intensive, do you need to take breaks and work on something else that can be done more quickly? Or are the posters you do already moving that rapidly that you don't feel that?
Yeah, I do need to take breaks, especially now, especially through this time. I'm finding that I've slowed down dramatically with how fast I'm completing projects. And then I need a change of scenery now. It's been since this whole thing that's been going on, really. So, but yeah, if you don't take breaks, you're not going to see the things that you need to fix in your work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I sort of think that this is such an interesting time to explore different kinds of projects, right? Like, if there's no better time to try to branch out into new things than right now either. And I wanted to talk to Jack a little bit about sort of this series of music illustrations that he's been doing. I'll pull up the Goldfrapp one to start, and then there's a Bjork follow-up that's incredible. Jack, do you want to talk about what you're doing with these?
I mean, there wasn't really like the Bjork one is the one that I did first. I did it last. I think it was October, and it took.
Okay.
It took so long. I think because I was just trying to cram in so much stuff and just trying to push my style and trying to be a bit more surreal and rather than like literal. So yeah, it was a real struggle. But I kind of like how it turned out, and I then planned to do a whole series. So I did the Goldfrapp one, which I started at the beginning of the year and then hated it, and then left it for like a couple of months and came back to it and like completely changed it. And then and now I've started my third one, which is Joanna Newsom, which is
awesome.
Even more complicated than these two combined. So I'm not giving myself an easy time with these personal projects, but
this Bjork one is one of my favorite illustrations you've done. It's really good.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I want to try and get somebody to try and animate it, but I feel like
that's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the money for that, so I might try and get, I don't know, somebody who wants to do it for cheap.
Or there are musicians that you want to do in the series?
Say that again.
Who are some other musicians?
So I was thinking maybe just keeping it to like female musicians because that's kind of like the theme. But if not, I'd love to do PJ Harvey would be another one that I'd love to do.
Oh yeah.
But then if I was to branch it out, I'd love to do people like Boards of Canada or Bibio. I'm getting a lot of blank faces here.
I might commission you for a Kathleen Hanna for my wife. That would be.
I don't know who that is.
Kate Bush.
My dad would absolutely love a Kate Bush one, but
she's
I have to do that now. Fucking hell.
She's the singer from Bikini Kill.
Let me give you a little hint though. Kate Bush prints do not sell.
Yeah.
Jack, why don't you do a Stereolab one for your boy, dude?
I could do Stereolab. I hadn't thought about that.
Thanks.
I just feel like with those sort of musicians, I have to like listen to them like nonstop for about a month to try and pick up all the nuances in the lyrics and stuff. And it's just you kind of go a bit crazy towards the end, especially listening to Bjork on repeat for a month. It's just I was hearing like Icelandic whale sounds in my head when I was going to sleep. It was
That sounds great. Sounds perfect.
Phantom City folks, have you guys been working on anything interesting you can talk about or not talk about or anything?
A bunch of Batman stuff. That was
we're always doing Batman stuff
coming out, which I'm really excited about. Some more stuff that you're announcing, I think, on Friday.
Ooh.
I don't know.
We announced
like a bunch of other work came in when this all kind of came down. Like I did some packaging for Hasbro. I think they're out now actually. They did X-Men Legends, like all the toys based on the X-Men films, so like Deadpool.
Oh, cool.
That. So the difficulty was no likenesses. So how do you show Hugh Jackman without showing Hugh Jackman?
Wait a minute. Has that been showed yet? Can we pull that on screen?
Yeah, I saw.
I only saw it on the Hasbro Pulse Instagram page.
Let me take a look here.
Yeah, we did a little preview of it.
Yeah, like they didn't tell me it was up. My neighbor sent it to us.
Yeah, we did. Thanks. We previewed Two-Face yesterday. If you're watching and haven't seen it, Justin did another Batman the Animated Series poster for Two-Face, and we did double-sided printing on it. So on one side is Harvey, and on the reverse side is Two-Face. There's pictures on our Instagram if you want to check it out. I
love that. It makes you choose which one you want to show. Like
I'll see if I can
so well.
See if I can pull this up here. I can't make any sense of this Hasbro Instagram. There's too much stuff on there.
I saw some X-Men film characters were finally going to be released by Hasbro. Is that the package that you're talking about having done work for?
They're blue, black, and white. You've seen, like silhouetted. I really should have been on my game with saying you stuff here. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay.
Dropping the ball everywhere.
I do have some Sara Deck upcoming projects to show here. So we will.
Maybe check your messages.
I sent you. Sent it
to you. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, I got this right here. Okay, well, I'll pull that up in a second. But Sarah, talk to me about this tiki that you have coming. Let me pull it up here just a second. I have too many tabs open, and this is exactly what I said I wasn't going to do during this. Here we are. But you have a tiki coming from Mondo eventually, an artist series tiki, right? What's the timeline on this thing?
Yeah.
It's very good.
I mean, it
Check
started
this out, everybody.
It started last year.
Awesome.
It's going to be released in the fall.
That's amazing.
There's 3 colorways that I know of. I think it's 3. There might be more, but no, there's 4. Yeah. I'm really excited about it. It's the first thing I've ever done like this. I love this colorway. I don't know. It was something when they asked, I had to jump at the opportunity to do this. And yeah, I know the first question I'm going to get is, how am I supposed to drink out of that? And my answer right now is a straw.
So how do you approach a project like this that has no creative brief whatsoever and it's just fully make a tiki mug out of whatever you want?
Well, I had a big, long conversation with the Tiki Boys about my interests and the sort of thing that I would like to display in my house.
Whoops.
Oh, that's something else.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we just kind of discussed all those things and tried to mash them all together. And I tried to fit as many of the things that interest me as I could in the design. And we sort of went through a process of elimination. And I'm just amazed that we were able to put that, like everything in it. The hands, the opening in the middle was the Tiki guy's idea.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty insane detail. There's like a snake at the bottom with fairly detailed skin. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with this. This is really good. In my mind, when we talked about setting out to do tikis, this is sort of the kind of stuff that we all wanted to do, and I think this is one of the best ones that's come out yet. So thank you so much for killing this.
Oh, thanks.
One other project. Tell me about this one up on the screen here.
Right. Okay. So this one's coming out. This is the Righteous Gemstones soundtrack. This is coming out, I think, at the end of the summer. Soonish. It's in delays right now, as everything is. So it's like it's like going to be a double album, I think. Design. Cool. Yeah. Danny McBride. I don't know if you guys have seen this show, but it is hilarious.
Amazing.
That's really good.
Yeah, this was tons of fun to work on. And the inside's all like, I can only show the cover right now, but the inside's all like riffing on like gospel records and yeah, super exciting.
Cool. Awesome. I was able to pull up this X-Men packaging here. Let me grab this for all the X-Men nerds like Eric out there.
There's a dozen of us at least.
Oh, dude, I love it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah, that is the stuff I saw. All right, yeah, far out. Yeah, I saw those figures when they released a couple days ago. The product shots floating around, and I was just really excited that they're starting to loosen up the reins now on X-Men film properties merchandising potential.
That's totally Hugh Jackman right there.
I know, right? Right?
Truck, what have you been working on?
Well, I've been working on a lot of stuff I can't talk about, but
sure,
people will see soon. And then I've been working on some stuff with you guys that I don't know if we can talk about, but that I guess you'd maybe see soon.
Well, I mean, let's put a title out there. Eventually, someday, we have a poster by Truck for The Thing coming, so you can put that together in your mind and probably envision what it looks like. We're not ready to show it yet, but we do have that coming, and people should be excited.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, mainly I've been taking the past like 4 months of basically playing catch up with every other project I've been trying to work on for the past 4 or 5 years, you know? And then in addition to just having more and more and more things just kind of seem to be piling on my desk. So strange times.
Yeah, I think that's that's sort of the goal for everybody. I don't know if any of us are actually doing much of that, but catching up. I think that when this whole thing gets over, everyone's going to be mad at themselves for not catching up during this time and feeling like you had a whole bunch of time when you have to resume to going out and seeing other people and wondering what we spent this whole year doing. Rory Kurtz, we shouldn't talk about it yet, I don't think, but we have a large poster coming from you that I think I honestly believe that it's your best work. I'd say not super long from now, Eric. What do we think, like a month or so ish?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's doable for sure.
Yeah. I'm sorry I can't show anyone it or say a title just yet, but it's
I don't like teases of the poster stuff personally. Like I like to keep it all on the until it drops. Because otherwise expectations and people start, trying to envision it in their head. It's almost more fun to just everybody finds out about it at the same time and the drop happens and nobody comes into it with an idea of their head of what it was supposed to look like. It's like when you read a book and then you go see the film, automatically you're like, it's not what I saw in my head. Like it's better if you just go see the film without any, knowledge beforehand. You can experience it on its own.
I agree. Everyone's dying for hints. I will say it's a.
I don't think anybody
foreign,
would.
It's a foreign film.
Would guess it.
It's a foreign film that everybody loves. That's all I'll say. Daniel, what have you been working on? Anything worth mentioning? Life.
Life mostly. I'm kind of trying to. A big project is I've basically been building a more dedicated home office. When I say building, I mean quite literally building like drywall and studs and such. Because I'm kind of coming to terms with that in order for me to work at home, I need like a much more private space. And that's a little bit tucked away. So I've been quite literally in a basement, like drywalling and spackling and stuff. And trying to just catch up on various things that have kind of like gone to the wayside in recent months. I have a soundtrack with you guys, which I'm kind of putting together. And there was a poster that went away. I don't know what happened with that, guys.
Which poster? Which poster went away?
Yeah, you can just say what it is.
The Isle of Dogs one.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We've had some weird stuff going on. We submitted that poster and they just kind of said we're not doing any Wes Anderson stuff right now. So we're not totally sure why. I don't know if it's in lead up to his next film, but for those in the chat, we thought that Daniel was a great fit for Isle of Dogs. He did a great concept, and I feel fairly confident it'll happen eventually.
Everyone's talking about the Ghostbusters print.
I think at one of our last happy hours, we mentioned that you had sent in a sketch for Ghostbusters 2. So now everybody wants you to do Ghostbusters 2.
Well, it was going to be because I did the Royal Tannenbaums in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And then for giggle's sake, I did the Jurassic Park as a takeoff, like a take on that original poster because it's rather close to being a Jurassic Park. The Royal Tenenbaums poster is rather close to being a Jurassic Park print. And then I did 2 more Ghostbusters for 1 and 2 in that same dumb style. And then it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could probably... What happened was you were like, let's do this for Comic-Con. And then you turned it in like 3 days before Comic-Con. And
yeah, but I did Jurassic Park 3 days before Mondo.
That's true.
That's true. There was a precedent there.
So yeah, I don't know. Should we just say that when in-person Comic-Con returns, Daniel Danger Royal Tenenbaum gimmick returns, or do we want to push for taking it out of that realm?
Well, it was there was an approvals thing in there as well because I know they were being particular about like they wanted to know where every single aspect of the like reference, like the mock-up that I made. They were like, well, where did this come from? Where did this come from? Where did this come from?
Yeah,
and I was like, I don't know. It's in your movie. I wanted to do because I wanted to do the Ghostbusters net style, and eventually one day I want to do Die Hard upside down, but rather than the girl under the table, it's him in the vent.
Ooh, there we go.
It's the dumbest poster series ever.
Yeah, I mean, unless anyone has anything else to talk about, it's funny. Shane Hillman said, "Oh, look, it's Sweet Hanks." That's these guys' secret artist chat that they use, and I think that was sort of a lot of the idea behind this talk is sort of bringing that to you guys. And you know, this is mostly what they do all day is just sit and I don't know because I'm not allowed in there, but I assume in my mind there's a lot of this just sitting around saying this project went away. Well, this project got added.
I think you would be so disappointed to learn how much we don't talk about you.
No, see, the idea is you get in the thing, and that's why people don't talk about you because you're in there. That's the idea.
Yeah. What did happen to Becky Cloonan's Beetlejuice from the Mondo?
That's something I still, I mean, obviously would love to do, but that license, not to get too into like the weeds, that license is weird because it's not a very big one for the studio, and then there's likeness involved, but it's also stylized, a bunch of weird gray areas. But trying to still make that happen. Any of the MondoCon live draws we try and make happen, and in fact, speaking of one of them. I think we're actually going to be able to bring that to life. If you were at the MondoCon live draw panel last year, we did the film selected was Paddington, and it was an artist collaboration between Daniel Danger, Matt Taylor, and Jock, and that will be happening sometime in the next couple months.
Well, yes, as of now, it looks like it'll
as
happen.
of now, it will be happening.
It's only at sketch phase, but yeah, as of now. Well, yeah, let's sort of open it up to some questions. I don't know if you guys want to start asking some questions. Eric, I don't know if you've seen any.
Here's one.
Oh, geez, this is for me. I mentioned on a previous stream that when we first started doing soundtracks, I bought a separate license for like $200 to make a Maniac cassette tape, and I still have the tapes and have never put them out. So everyone's like, you should give them away in this chat, but yeah, not quite ready yet. I gotta get some art done for it. But yeah, maybe someday. So far we got very few questions.
So he's back.
What is Jack's next Mondo project? Oh boy. Jack, I don't know if we can talk about it. Should we drop a hint, Jack?
We can't name titles, but unfortunately, two posters of Jack's are on ice at the moment that we can't say.
There was one that I started like a year and a half ago, or completed a year and a half ago, which was meant to like coincide with the release, but then that didn't happen. So now. Yeah, I don't know where it is.
I'll put a hint out there. One of them is an A24 film. That should be enough to excite people.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
The film, not the poster. I'm not posting. It's a great poster. Fuck it.
It is a good poster. We got a question that comes up often: dream film or TV property for anyone? Anyone want to take this? Anyone want to sort of give a dream? And then I'll tell you the reasons it can't happen.
I've asked a dozen times to do Night of the Hunter.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We did that poster once with Justin and Paige, and it was I believe that was when we worked one time with Martin Scorsese's Film Society, or is that what it's called? Film Society? Anyway,
Film Foundation.
Film Foundation. Yeah, we did it through them, and I believe it's a fairly hard title to get. And even when we did it, fun fact about that poster, it originally had Robert Mitchum's face, and then they were like, yeah, that doesn't fly with what we can do.
I don't draw faces.
So then that's why it ended up the face ended up disappearing.
Daniel and I are on a mission to do a full Friday Night Lights gallery show, and that's going to happen.
Yeah, I would love that.
We're gonna make it. We're gonna put it out there, and it's gonna happen. Good things are gonna happen.
Well, you didn't goddamn invite me into the 10-year anniversary thing, and I'm still mad about it. You're
Also,
all fucking
Eric,
hanging out with Connie Britton, and I'm over here looking like an asshole.
also, Eric's in a commercial with, or in an Alamo pre-roll commercial with Coach Taylor, pretending to be a player.
Fucking bullshit! I was not called out for that one.
We're going to state. We are.
Who do you know who likes that show more than me? Who? Name them.
No, it almost happened like a decade ago with Gallery 1988. Remember, Daniel?
Yeah. They NBC told us basically they couldn't say yes, but they wouldn't sue us. That was kind of their answer, and it just wasn't good enough for me. Like I was really worried about spending months working on everything and then have like a cease and desist show up the day of because someone else at NBC decided it was problematic. So that turned into the Deviltown show in 2011.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
This is just turning into a Friday Night Lights discuss.
That's
fans.
That's fine.
But
do it.
I should tell you this, Daniel. On the rewatch right now, so I'm living in a part of Austin that I haven't lived in before, and I just realized the school that's like half a mile from me, that is Dillon High School. That's where they shot all the exteriors and shit. So next time you're in Austin, we'll take you on the FNL tour.
Make this show happen because I want to do it more than anything, even though it'll be like the lowest selling Mondo show in history.
We'll make it happen.
I don't know if it would. One of the best things about working at Mondo is I've run into Coach Taylor and Tim Riggins at the airport. So that's highlights of my life, and I talked to them both.
I'm very mad.
Anybody else here not seen this show at all? I haven't seen. I thought that was off the air years ago. I don't even know what they're talking about.
It's off the air years ago, but here's the problem. I worry about, obviously Daniel, Eric, and I all saw this show for the first time when we were in our 20s. I do worry that there's an expiration date on wanting to watch teenage drama, but maybe not. I don't know.
Then why do I keep watching it?
Well, because you saw it when you were young. It's like anything else, right? However old you were when you first saw it.
Every single time, I watched it when it was on TV, but every single person that I've shown that show to, even to this day, has come back and said, no, that show's great. If you watch the pilot and aren't immediately hooked, there's something wrong with you.
Here's the deal. If you are too old for Friday Night Lights, the same showrunner made a show called Parenthood, which is basically the grown-up Friday Night Lights. So I also highly recommend that. Eric, can you highlight Michael Bennett's question?
I was about to put that on screen.
Okay. Does anyone want to take any time with it?
Ooh, that's tough.
Nobody's going to say Eric.
Eric. I was going to say Eric. Sorry, Eric.
They're all easy to deal with. Come on. They're all
easy. It's all good.
I've been dealing with Daniel for we've been dealing back and forth in catty ways for 12 years, 13 years by now. So
yeah, it was like 2007, I think, or 2006, because it was
14 years.
The Let's Be Kings print, which was like your first wholesale purchase.
It was before that because I published the My Tiger Lily Rest diptych whenever that was. That was a really, really long time ago.
That was 2005.
Yeah. Daniel and I are the same age. We were born the same year, and so we sort of got into the scene around the same time. There was sort of a whole group of us that were all the same age. Me, Daniel, Nate Duvall, John Smith, few others. So yeah, we've known each other a long time, and I've been a pain in the ass to deal with for a long time. Ooh, this is a dangerous question. I don't know if this is.
Can you say them? Can you tell?
I got one. A fun one. Rob came to our wedding, and at a certain point, the music changed from acceptable wedding songs to more rock oriented and fun stuff. So we put some Danzig in there for Rob and a bunch of our friends. So this Danzig finally came on. I look around. Rob's not there anymore. He's gone. So I asked, where's Rob? Is he smoking? So I ran across the venue, which was a pretty big venue. And I burst out the door in my tux. I'm like, Rob, Danzig's on. And he's like, whoop, throws a cigarette out and runs back in just to get the last bits of Mother. But he was there for 30 seconds of the song, but he rocked those 30 seconds.
I can because I was there.
Yeah.
So he said during the, I guess when we were just arriving at the reception venue, he told me that I said they were going to play Danzig, and he said, "No, that's never going to happen. I bet that would never happen." And I was like, "No, it's
Lost that bet.
So then it happened.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember if I requested it, but I know that I requested it to play again, like another time, because it played.
Yeah, it did happen. Yeah, and then from that point on, the pictures of that night are just like every picture is worth. Amazing. There's so much fun.
I'll try to find one. I'll try to.
Paige can try to find one, but there's one picture of Gary Pullen, just like rocking out, and it was captured at the perfect moment.
It should also be noted.
Rob emceed my wedding. He emceed my wedding, and he introduced my wife and I for the first time as a couple. And my mom loved him. It was great.
It should also be noted, this is just how those Canadians party, because when I was with all these folks at Texas Frightmare, it was Sarah and her partner, and Gary Poland and Jason Edmiston and a couple others just singing karaoke with old metal songs on a phone and playing air guitar outside the hotel until like 4 a.m. And I was like, what is this? And Sarah's like, this is what they do every night that they hang out. So
yeah. I was like, as long as you keep playing another song, there will go. Like the sun was coming up.
Yeah.
We had somebody suggest a Rob Jones art show, and it's funny that he brings that up. It was Steve Olivieri. It's funny that he brings that up because I'm gonna put this out there. He probably doesn't want me to share this. It's too hot of an idea. But there was a time before Grief where his idea for a show, he decided for Grief instead of this. His idea for a show was to have the death of Rob Jones. And it was going to be all people doing pieces of him, and he was going to lay in a coffin like he was dead the entire show in there.
That's the most Rob Jones thing I've ever heard.
I remember exactly what my print was going to be too for that show. It was going to be a print of an ambulance stopped at a stoplight. In all bright Rob Jones red.
Check your messenger, your Instagram.
Okay. Oh,
Rob hates that we're talking about him right now, by the way.
Oh, he loves it.
I do have a story that he told me one time, the first time I met him, but I don't think I can repeat it.
yeah, no.
Likes to stay classy, so you gotta watch it.
Share my screen, Eric. This is exactly what I'm talking about, what it was like at Frightmare, too. This is like exactly what they do. They put on, it could be the smallest or the largest speaker, doesn't matter, and they just all gather around and put their horns in the air and sing Danzig, and this is what they do. We got any other questions? Oh, Shane Hillman's talking about me getting haunted at Death Camp. That was not cool.
Are we going to do more Superman the Animated Series with Phantom City? We did one for Superman and Bizarro.
Very cool.
I'm up for it.
Yeah, I don't know if a Batman the Animated Series style series can happen with it. We have to find out still. But I mean, yeah, I'd of course be up for it.
We also need to move on to Batman Beyond.
Ooh,
got some ideas for that.
Batman Beyond is awfully good. Somebody brought up earlier, one of the things Martin Anson was really talking about yesterday was that he feels a ton of pressure whenever he's asked to do a poster for a big film because you only get one shot at it and you're adding to the cultural pile for that film, especially for something like Star Wars. Do you guys feel pressure when you approach a film like that, or do you sort of approach it in a lighter-hearted, like, this is just my take on it manner?
Go ahead, Sarah.
I was gonna say, I think it depends on the property, like, and your relationship with it. I guess if it's like a super intense fanning out, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer was for me.
Yeah,
that was a little intense. We switched our ideas a couple times for that, so I guess it was intimidating, and it did feel a little bit crushing at times.
We need to figure out the next one in that series and what other episodes you want to do, Sarah.
Yeah.
That
way would have been my answer for what's the all-time dream poster property is Buffy more.
It's more Buffy. We can do it. We can do a Friday Night Lights Buffy split show.
That'd be great.
Problem solved.
Best of TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
I guess I need to watch it.
Phantom City, when you're working on a series like the Batman series, is the first one or the 20th one harder to do?
First one.
Yeah. And then you sort of fall into a formula?
Yeah, the first ones were a lot of experimentation and figuring out how to marry, use Bruce Timm's style in the style of the TV show, but not just clone it and replicate it, try to do something new while paying tribute to it. So by the first few, there was a kind of a style and a method down whereas they used to take about a week each, now they're about 3-4 days each. So it's a lot faster now.
Yeah, and a little behind the scenes, every time that we get new Batman the Animated Series concepts, there's like 8 to choose from. It's pretty wild thumbnail process.
I can't decide. I'll let you guys decide for me.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
it's one or the other. It's either 8 or 1.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Mitch, have I ever given more than one sketch?
We don't want to talk about your process here. It's funny because Daniel mentioned something to me at Comic-Con, came up and said something as a joke to me, and I was like, hold on. Do you think that the way we work together is how all the artists work with Mondo, where you tell us what project you want to do, you tell us what you should be paid, you send the sketch, tell us you can't direct it, and then we put the poster out? Is that the normal flow that we work with? No.
Is that an option?
I know.
I want to do what I want to do, and I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
Doing this all wrong. We've been doing it all wrong.
Somebody should have asked the question, who here is the most difficult to work with for you guys?
Oh, it's definitely Daniel. I've got some crazy Daniel stories. Daniel one time sent in 5 years of invoices at once.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like they originate, no joke, this was like a couple years ago, and the first ones originated in the Tim Doyle era of Mondo. So
Well, he didn't pay me. I don't know what you want me to tell.
Who does your accounting? Are you not up to date?
No, it's just that I like my brain for logistical stuff like that is just like I honestly forget what I've invoiced for or what's been paid. My memory's gone. So like I just don't remember things like that. And then I'm like, well, now I'm embarrassed to ask again. I'll just not worry about it.
No, you'd be surprised how often this happens. I've had to make invoices for artists before because they just won't invoice. And like Daniel, I mean, there's been times where we have like, all of accounting emailing him being like, can you please invoice for this? And he just doesn't. So yeah, it takes every kind of artist to keep this machine going. And Daniel is the hard invoicing one.
Well, we did that with I think the It poster where you were like, "Do you just want more copies so you don't have to worry about invoicing?"
Yes.
I was like, "Okay, fine."
Yeah.
Mitch, do you want to take this one?
How do you approach entries for something like that? Yeah, I don't know. House parties interesting because we just sort of let people do whatever they want. Honestly, House Party is a tough show because everyone is being vastly underpaid for what they do, and the way that we've always said it is kind of like it's a way to thank the fans for being there throughout the year, and it is kind of a bummer that we are probably done with House Party. I do have an idea that's way crazier than House Party for whenever actual shows happen again, so I'm gonna try to talk everyone into that, but we do have something. But yeah, as far as the approach, House Party is the least directed show on earth. We say it can be pop culture related, it cannot be. It can be big or it can be small. I mean, we've had pieces the size of a postage stamp, and we've had Mike Mitchell's 5 foot by 5 foot piece. So
I
really
set
no
you
approach
records
at all.
2 years ago.
Yes. Yep. Oh yeah. Pull up desktop because I think this is a really good point here. This most recent comment. There we go. There should be a business class at art school. That's probably true, but also you would be surprised how many Mondo artists and just working illustrators in general now didn't go to art school.
I was going to ask out of this panel who.
Yeah, what's the rundown on art school or no art school here? Raise hand if went to art school. Okay.
But
Daniel,
I worked for 10 years.
Fuck that.
Daniel for a while was a pretty hardcore anti-art school person though, and I tend to disagree because I think that technique-wise you can absolutely learn outside of school, and I think if you're not a school person, I think that's true too. You don't have to go to art school, but I do think it has value mostly for two things: learning to hit deadlines and taking criticism.
Well, does the benefit of learning those two important factors balance out with the unbelievable cost of art school? This is
I mean, like my experience with it was that like I felt the first 2 years were really useful because it was just teaching you to like, it was all just sort of like paying attention to technique and like just basic skills that were really useful. And the last 2 years were just extreme busy work that just felt like were getting in the way of me trying to explore what I wanted to do. And especially nowadays is that when I was in school in like the early 2000s, a lot of the reason you went to art school was for facilities and the accessibility to like computer labs and scanners and like, you know, Photoshop was $1,000 program back then. And, you know, you needed someone to teach you how to use it. And now you can go on YouTube and a 12-year-old will teach you how to edit video. Like you don't, it's once you get to a certain point, like if you get through the first 2 years of art school and you kind of are still excited about doing artwork, like all the things that you need they're in the world and they're readily accessible now in ways that they weren't in, 20 years ago. So like, is it really worth spending another, $30,000 to like, be given assignments? Like, just go on Instagram and draw shit. Like,
sure. I mean, I understand that. And to answer your question, Rory, it depends how bad you are at taking criticism. There's probably people that could pay $30,000 to be better at that. But yeah, I mean, my only point is, I think that there is value because I've heard Daniel be on tirades where he's like, don't go to art school. And it's like, well, I don't know. There's value there. But I do agree that in the day and age of technology and programs being readily available, it's getting harder to justify. But Daniel's also like child prodigy though, right? And so most people,
dude,
you've seen my college work. My college work looks nothing like what I do now.
Sure, but what I'm saying is you were already making like fully formed sellout releases at like age 20, whatever. And so it's a little bit hard for you to say versus somebody that has to learn composition in school, I mean, child prodigy.
My viewing what an average art school student is doing nowadays, having basically the exposure of all social media and like Instagram, all that, the skill set of kids in school right now is worlds beyond where I was and like anyone in my school. Like, wait, so
I'm confused. Are you for or against art school?
No, what I'm just saying is that like kids that age, because they're exposed to so much more and they're showing things off to the world and getting criticism from, criticism in, I don't know what you call it, like from the internet as a whole. Like, I feel like the skill set is just skyrocketed for people that age. And a lot of those people are not kids in art school. They're just like drawing and existing on the internet and sharing it and following 5,000 illustrators on Instagram and like learning from technique from watching tutorials and like, I don't know, like.
Yeah, I think, and to be clear, it's completely 100% possible to sky is the limit for how successful you could be without art school, of course. I mean, many of the biggest artists that we know didn't go to art school. Anyway, let's wrap this up. I want to thank everyone for sort of taking the time out of their day and at all different time zones and talking to people during our Comic-Con coverage. Rory, thank you for the idea and for sort of organizing this. And thanks everyone for showing up and asking questions questions and hearing us out. We've got a bunch more content coming this week. But yeah, we'll talk to you all soon and hope you have a good day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.